Web3 PH Summit happening here at Draper Startup House. I hope all of you are ready to learn from the experts to be informed about how to make investment decisions and better support Filipinos in the realm of art. This afternoon's next event is entitled Painting the Future, How to Invest in Filipino Art. This event will be a panel discussion that will cover the conflicting sides to putting art on the blockchain. For today's panel discussion, our moderator will be Steph Aller. Steph is a co-founder of Unit 256 and Artifract. Artifract is a pioneer of fine arts NFT in Asia. They are focused on helping art estates, museums, private collectors, and artists in the preservation of fine arts. A round of applause for our moderator, please. Joining her today are 4 other notable project founders in the industry. First on the list is Luis Benaventura II of Cryptopop Art. Cryptopop Art Guild, or CPAG, is a metaversal art guild sponsoring underprivileged Filipino artists. A round of applause, please. Next up is Marso, an NFT artist. Marso studied advertising at the Technological University of the Philippines. She has participated mostly in Web3 exhibitions and has collaborated with famous NFT projects such as Deadfellas. A round of applause, please. Next on the deck, we have Toym Imao, a multimedia visual artist, sculptor, and a UP professor. Toym is a Filipino multi-visual artist whose art is known for its commentary on Filipino social conditions as well as for its pop culture sensibilities. He concentrated on doing large-scale public art projects such as monuments and shrines. A round of applause, please. And of course, last but not the least is Shari Gotwako, founder of ScarletBox.io, the premier blue-chip art NFT launchpad in Asia, bridging the generations through arts and culture. A round of applause for our panelists today.
Hello. Rainy afternoon, Web3. Thank you for having us and welcome to Painting the Future of Investing, Art 101. So before we begin, we want to get to know more about our speakers this afternoon. You guys, if you can share with us what you do in the arts and the NFT space, tell us more about your projects, and just give us a quick background so we can have a good getting to know.
Check. Hey everyone. My name is Luis. In 2017, I accidentally became one of the world's first NFT artists by joining a project called Curio Cards. When they rediscovered this project in 2021, they realized that it was in fact the world's first example of NFT art, and as a result, it has gone on to sell over $100 million in the secondary market. We set some milestones in 2021 where we were the first NFT art collection to be sold at Christie's and Sotheby's within the same month, amounting to over $1.5 million in total auction price. And yeah, I continue to be very active in the NFT art space. I have a guild called the Cryptopop Art Guild, as they mentioned, where I'm trying to help underprivileged Filipino artists learn how to break into this industry for the first time.
So hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for being here despite of the rain. I am a Web2 illustrator turned to NFT artist around 2021. So I've been in the Web3 space for around a year, and I've been collaborating with a lot of Web3 galleries and exhibitions, also projects such as Dead Fella's One Song a Day by Jonathan Man, which was shilled by Beeple. And I'm also part of some communities such as Gajira, Cyberkongs, and also some local communities such as Diamonds and Asian Mint. So right now, what I'm doing is like I'm creating a content for artists to bridge that gap between Web3 and art. So I'm just simplifying the ideas of how to create NFTs simply na hindi siya ganun ka-techy. So, yeah.
All right, thanks, Mar. So my name is Sherry Gotuaco from Scarlet Box. Scarlet Box is a blue chip arts NFT launchpad. So what we do is we work with very esteemed artists like national artists and onboard them to the Web3 space. And such as one of them is the father, and this is the son of Abdul Mari Imao and Toym Imao. So they're one of our artists. And we do this because our vision is to bridge the generations through arts and culture. It's very, seeing blue chip art is very rare in the Web3 space because a lot of the blue chip artists have been successful already for decades in their lives and in their works. So, this is a very new space for them, and maybe they might not even need it. But for the younger generations, we need it because the works of these artists are very unaffordable, they're very inaccessible, they're very rare, and they either belong in collectors' homes or they belong in galleries, in coffee table books, many of which are out of print. So how will the younger generation know more about their lives and their works? So this is one way to educate the young ones about the beautiful culture and history that they have and to be able to preserve it and pass it down to the younger generation. So hopefully with this effort, we'll be able to do that.
Hi, I'm Toy Mimao. I'm a visual artist and also a teacher. My primary involvement in this is more of a curiosity. I'm the least techie individual probably in this room. So my approach is mostly working with currently with Scarlet Box with the NFTs of my father, Abdul Mari Asha Imao. And we're going to start working with Artifact with regards to also an iteration of the works of my father in NFTs. No? Primarily, we were quite excited about this because we wanted to at least have that opportunity to bring my father's work into another platform, beyond what is traditional, beyond what is in the collections of galleries and museums. No? So for us, this is an exploration. And for me, I wanted to be involved in terms of exploring the possibilities of NFTs because being a teacher, I need to be knowledgeable about these platforms that my students are involved in right now and want to go into. And at the same time, maybe we can also include this NFT talks within the academe, within the discourses of fine arts, because there are a lot of concerns, there are a lot of misconceptions about this merger of technology and art. There's always this resistance to it. So hopefully my involvement would somehow give us an idea how we can bridge the gaps between art and technology through sharing of artworks through the NFTs.
Thank you, everyone. So it's very interesting that our set of speakers this afternoon has deep experience when it comes to traditional art creation, traditional art collecting, but now very much willing and open into, embracing Web3, and its potential. I actually have a question that would go to Luis first. How can you best explain to traditional art collectors what it means when we say putting art on the blockchain? Because you know, traditional art collectors, the profile is very different, no? With them, the act of collecting is being able to hold something and owning it and appreciate it. And with Web3, that is the biggest challenge, right? The biggest challenge is that this time they have it in a wallet. And so, Luis, what do you think about that?
So I mean, it's never an easy conversation because typically, as soon as you say yung words palang art on the blockchain, half of that phrase is usually not something they understand. The word blockchain is already unintelligible, so dun palang you've already got this hurdle, no? So, what I usually try to say is that I try to bring it back to parang just art ownership itself. It's very easy for you to prove that you own an oil painting or a sculpture because it's sitting in your living room and typically there is some kind of receipt from the artist that this is yours. With digital art, it's a little bit harder for you to do that because how do you prove that this particular JPEG is what is yours? No, you are the owner of this piece exclusively, particularly when we're talking about one of ones. So what I say is, digital art has never had a way to prove ownership before. And NFTs is the way, finally, that a digital artist like myself, I mean, I've never really been apologies to the College of Fine Arts, but I've never really been good at traditional media. So, like, even when I was actually in school, I was dabbling with Photoshop 3, by the way. It's like, what is it now? It's like Photoshop 18 or something now. It's like insane. They stopped using that number na nga because it started to make it look so old. Anyway, so I was never really a traditional person and I've never been able to, I've never felt like I could compete with fine artists, with oil painters, with sculptors like that. My sister was actually in the painting course in fine arts because when you're digital, it always feels like your work is a little bit more reproducible. And because it's more reproducible, parang the value is not quite the same. So yung difference now is that there is a way for you to kind of show that this piece is in fact the one exclusive version of it that someone can actually own and say that they actually own it. And that's it. Parang the rest of the conversation about the blockchain part, the crypto part, parang that's secondary na eh.
That's NDRR
Oh
MC,
my goodness.
everyone.
Okay. Hey, did you guys notice na may bagyo? Weird, no? Anyway, but yes. So yun, so I guess that's kind of how I would answer that question.
Okay, okay. I think a good follow-up question can go to Ms. Sherry, no? Because I'm sure you're very familiar with the profiles of people who would collect traditional and then eventually jumping into collecting, blue chip art, digital NFTs. What can you share with us about it? Like explaining it to them how things work these days and moving forward.
Okay, so I'd like to share with you two things. No? The first is that, in the 12th and 13th century, let's say in Europe, a lot of the art was done by frescoes. No? So when people paint on walls, on ceilings, and it was a way for them to show that this is my home or this is my church. And it was only in the mid-16th century that art on canvas was done. Before that, it was all walls. But if you look today, some of the most valuable art is on canvas. The Mona Lisa, etc., Van Gogh, they're all on canvas. So there were, in the mid-16th century, there were some people who adjusted, some who were detractors who said it might get lost, it might get stolen, it might get burned. But now, if you didn't adjust then, look at what happened now. No? The whole world adjusted, and now some of the most valuable works are in canvas form because that is one way to pass it and transfer, easier to transfer, easier to display in one home because you cannot chip a wall in a church somewhere and bring the door to your home. So it's more difficult. But with the canvas, then it's easy also to store, to sell, to pass down to your children. So if you look at it in that way, it's just a medium, where you can put art. And in that way, if one can see it that way, so NFT is also a medium. And maybe I'd like to share one win that Scarlet Box experienced, and which is it's a win for all NFT space and NFT artists. Recently, we had one of our NFTs joined the Leon Gallery auction, and Leon Gallery is the largest auction house in the Philippines, and it's their first NFT that they sold, and it already sold for 122,000 pesos. No, so it's already appreciated from the mint value, and this is a traditional art market. They've always sold contemporary art, masters, antiques, and they curate the art pieces that they sell. Not everyone who applies just can get in. But we got in, and we were very pleased to see that the traditional art market already is slowly appreciating by already bidding and winning the auction, already much higher than the mint price that we had. And a lot of our current collectors right now, none of them are selling in the secondary market. All of them are holding it. So if you look at OpenSea, there's nothing for sale. So all of them are keeping. So in a way, there's a little bit already of an adjustment. There's a little bit of openness. We still have a lot more to do. But I think having traditional artists enter the space is already a big leap because it's a familiar name. Like when they say, oh, like Imao, the Hoya. So we have Abdul Mari Imao and Toim Imao. We have Jose Hoya and his grandnephew, Andre Baldovino. So having familiar traditional art masters and honored artists, the name itself, and when they come into the Web3, it already lends some sort of a familiarity and comfort zone. So hopefully we'll be able to onboard more and more new first-time collectors in this space.
Thank you. That's great. So it appears that there's very high first adopter advantage, no, with a big potential of exponential growth from how much you bought it at mint value. And at the same time, initiatives such as Scarlet Box and Artifract, let's say, that really exerts the effort to bridge traditional and digital, paves that particular bridge, for art collectors to jump into Web3 safely. So now we've tackled on the demand side. If I can ask naman on the supply side. So coming from an artist's perspective, and the question goes to Sir Toim first, and then we can move to Marso later. Sir Toim, because you teach in UP Fine Arts, right? We're very curious how your students today, what questions do they ask? Are they curious? Or are they like naturally, organically leaning towards like digital art? Or it's just, like that classical balance of curiosity or interest?
Yeah, I think there's a balance, no? Because, you have two basic school of thoughts within the College of Fine Arts in UP. No? Although mostly they believe that it's a very progressive, type of approach in art making. No? Pero there's still old school, and there's one that's quite adventurous. No? There are ones who want to hold on to the more traditional art forms, art way of doing. No? But at the same time, there is also those who are looking forward to it. No? I have like several students in my studio arts department, who are painting majors, but at the same time, very, very good digital artists. No? And actually, they're better than their paintings. No? Primarily because they always tell me, bakit parang ang damis, maraming ginagawa mong digital art than yung paint. Because of the ease. No? There are certain tools that allows them to immediately realize the vision they have in their mind. No? So it liberates them from the confines of mediums, that traditionally takes a little bit more time to fashion into the visions that they want to do. No? And marami sa kanila nagra-racket na digitally. No? Even second years, first years, I have like really, really good. And when I am asked, as a teacher, do I encourage it or do I tell them na to hold on muna? Huwag kayo masyadong magmadali. Pag-aralan nyo muna in the basics. No? So I'm actually torn between those. So we just find ways in which we can mitigate. No? We can do something that addresses both concerns. No? Because as much as you want to pay homage to the classics, you should also be learning the medium of the times, which is digital online platforms. It is undeniable. There is a parallel world that is existing, one that's tangible, collectible, but at the same time, one is virtual. And yeah, that you have questions of ownership right now. No? How do you own, no, these visions, these creations, no? And actually, the major discussions that we are having right now is about authorship, no? How do you make, because OpenSea, even an online platform, there's a deluge of images. So how do you discern, no? How do you navigate through all this oversupply of stimulus, no, visual stimulus, no? That is why it is important that these things be discussed in the academe, within the circles of contemporary art, so that we can have the necessary markers for discernment. We have also the necessary tools in which we can appreciate what is we think would be collectible for us, would be practical, would be ano, no? Pero at the end of the day, it's always na if that particular art form, whether it was created by a master, no, a national artist, no, or someone from Palawan in a small town, no, but it resonates with you. I think that's the basic value of art, no. It's how what's wonderful about these platforms that it has democratized access, no. It has taken out the power not from gatekeepers, no, and created several hubs in which a very young artist with a very good idea can can break it into the art world, no. And that's fantastic, no, for us, no, because hindi siya competition. I always remind some friends na medyo older na generation na that's not art, no. That's the same thing you said when we were talking about photography in the early 1900s, no. Technology is here to stay. These are mediums. These are platforms of conveyance of ideas and vision. So might as well tackle it. Let's study it, and once it has a very thriving community, then it begins to self-police itself, regulate itself, or probably discern, no, what is just considered noise and what is actually considered as really genuine art forms out there, no, for us to appreciate.
Thank you. Okay, hello everyone. So what got me interested into NFTs is its technology talaga. Kasi I'm a digital artist, and I think the new generation of artists is more of the digital side, especially the Gen Zs, the millennials. Of course, homage pa rin sa traditional artists. Because I think if you are an artist outside of the Web3 space, or if you're a traditional artist or you're a digital artist, you're still the same. You're still an artist. So, parang sa akin, this is just an innovation, a tool, kung saan na parang finally digital artists can be collected. Kasi before, like what Sir Luis Benaventura had said, na parang digital artists are just parang part of the commercial work. And I've been that. Na parang before NFTs, parang naisip ko na hindi ako magkakaroon ng value as an artist or never ko ma-reach yung type ng artist na makakollect ako. And I've tried. Nag-try din ako sa traditional scene sa mga painting. And totoo yung merong mga gatekeepers. And it's really hard to network yourself in the traditional scene. Eh. So with NFTs, parang it made it so simple for you to network yourself, to do it manually, to show it yourself. At the same time, the best thing that is you can communicate all throughout the world without really exposing yourself. So it's more of like a genuine connection of just showing your art. And mostly sa mga tao na parang iniisip nila na parang if they're like a traditional artist na papasok sila sa NFTC na parang, oh, ano na kami, parang faded na kami kasi this is the new era. But no, it's still the same kasi at the end of the day, you're still an artist and the value that you give is not that quality of your art, but your story as an artist. Kasi when we are creating, naman yan sa sa kung gaano kaganda yung render mo or kung gaano mo katagal yung ginawa mo. It's more of the value that you give out to your collectors. And yun yung usual na napapansin ko na nabibili. It's, as an artist, you have that unique visual story and I think that's your creative edge. Na parang, you're the only one who can tell that story. You're the only one who can produce it. And I think that's one of the reasons why nagiging valuable ang isang artist. Regardless of kung kailan ka pumasok, kung ano mang medium mo, at the end of the day, whether or not that you are here in the Web3 space or if you're using an NFT, if ever na parang you decided to come on board, which is I recommend kasi I really believe that this is really helpful for the artist. One, yung provenance niya. Imagine before that when you are selling an artwork, kailangan mo pa siyang ipadala or pag binenta mo siya, hindi mo na alam kung saan mapupunta. At the same time, pag merong nag-resell ng artwork mo, wala kang royalties. But with NFTs, it is possible na malaman mo kung kanino napunta through dun sa metadata, yung sa wallet, kung kailan siya nabenta. At the same time, meron kang benefits of royalties for that. And I really believe na parang this is a technology that could help a lot of artists. And I hope people can be open to that. Pero at the end of the day, it's not about the parang you need to be techy and all. If you're just an artist going to the space, you'll still be an artist inside the Web3 space. Sorry.
Thank you, thank you. So it's fabulous, no, that the blockchain, Web3 basically allows talent to really bloom because of all available tools. The mere fact that the space basically democratizes it and puts everyone in a level playing field, no? Parang it's really a battle of who's the most talented and who's the most hardworking, which I think is great. So, in short, you guys, for the audience, mukhang we will be flooded with good digital art supply in the next many years, which is good. For artists, no, because we're talking about that particular side of the picture in art investing, can you guys recommend, Luis and Marso, initiatives that can actually help, you know, guide young ones, people who want to be artists, people who want to explore the space and actually start creating? At the end of the day, I can imagine that there's a lot of them, but they're confused or maybe lost a little and would just Google it their way, you know? So maybe you would like to talk about some initiatives, projects that can help hone these young talents?
I'm sure Marcel's gonna talk about crypto art PH, so I'll shift na lang to something else. I think, yeah. So there's a lot of resources out there. The thing about where to start kasi is oftentimes you just need to be in a group with other artists who are kind of moving around in these circles, no? So things like Facebook and Twitter are very useful for stuff like this. But I guess I kind of want to stress na the technical part of NFT art is actually the easiest part. Parang the act of minting your first NFT, once you've gotten past that first learning curve kasi of what is MetaMask, what is Ethereum, once you get past that kasi it's very straightforward na eh. Success in NFT art has nothing to do with your technical savvy. It has everything to do with how well you know how to promote yourself and make yourself visible in the buying pool of, like, who are these people who are willing to put money into crypto art kasi. So whenever someone asks me that, I always kind of struggle with the answer, no? Because it's like, to be perfectly frank, the people who buy crypto art are usually the crypto wealthy. So it's kind of like how in the real world, the people who spend money on traditional art, they tend to be just normal wealthy people who are trying to diversify their assets, and parang they don't want to just invest in gold and stocks and all of that stuff. Sometimes they'll put a little bit into art because it's a nice uncorrelated investment for long-term hold. Same thing in crypto, except walang concept of long-term hold sa cryptocurrencies eh. Everything is like, can I flip this in 6 months? Ganon. So, yung may paggaganon siya. I mean, obviously I'm speaking very generally, but and actually I've been very lucky that a lot of my buyers have not resold the stuff that they've bought from me. But I can tell you that if you are, kind of moving around in this world, masanay ka na dun sa idea that a lot of the people who will buy your art are thinking about it in terms of how can I make ROI on this? Like, is Marso gonna 5x in a year? Ganon yung value ng work niya, and then can I flip that to someone else? Parang ganon yung what's going on in their minds is that. So they're looking for young artists who are kind of a little bit more reasonably priced, because they're trying to make bets on kind of the future value of it. And yun yung parang big challenge dun eh. So like, okay, so if you're starting out, what do I do here? It's like, okay, first, be in the groups where other artists like yourself are kind of doing the same thing. Try to figure out which one of them feels close to you in terms of mindset, artist sensibility, stuff like that. And then maybe just copy what they're doing muna sa umpisa. I find that that's kind of a pretty effective way to do it. The other way is, and I'll recommend this to everyone, look for someone who is a little further along in this journey than you, and then see if they will collaborate with you on a project. That is a super shortcut way to kind of get your name out there. And everyone, even in the traditional art world, people do that all the time.
So, yun. I agree with the community kasi most artists, ang struggle nila is yung parang technology. And yun din yung reason kung bakit parang hindi sila tumutuloy sa Web3 space. Pero totoo yung sinabi ni Sir Luis na it's just easy. And one of the best ways is to find a community, which we had, Crypto Art PH, that we are ready to help. If ever na parang you just want to get along with people and have insights about what's happening in the Web3 space, Crypto Art PH is there for you guys para i-onboard kayo or turuan kayo. Like we do like AMA sessions on Discord. And sometimes may mga artists kami na on-board na umaabot kami ng 3 hours just to answer their questions. So we're always there. So when in terms naman on how selling your art, I guess in my experience, meron ako parang na-realize. One is yung creative edge mo. Kasi when I was starting out, wala akong credentials in the Web2 space and I was just there with my art. So I think one of my creative edge was my uniqueness kasi when people see my artwork, people recognize na, oh, this is Marso. I know this style, I know this color, it is you, this Marso. So I think yun yung impression mo na imi-make dun sa space. Kasi it's really hard, lalo na ngayon, marami ng magagaling na artists, pero what separates you from the rest, di ba? Next is making friends. So in the Web3 space, sobrang friendly ng mga tao. Like, it's really helpful na parang you guys form a community and help each other out through Twitter, to Discord, to Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse, and just help each other. Kasi when you guys help each other, nag-share kayo ng connections eh. Nag-share kayo ng retweets, ng exhibits, ng mga opportunities. And then next is, when you have a lot of friends and you made that impression, siguro, one thing is going back to the art, which is storytelling. What can you contribute in this space? What are you doing? What kind of artworks are you doing? Are you going to do collectibles? Are you going to do one-of-ones? What's the story? What's the value? Why am I going to invest in it? And then, after that storytelling, after making friends, after the first impression, I guess this is one of the most important is taking care of your family. The family that you made inside the space, because this is the community that will support you regardless. And one thing that is parang important in the space is that what I realized, I'm not really sure, but in the traditional scene daw, the artworks, tumataas yung price kapag nawawala daw yung artist kasi kasi tumataas daw yung value. But when it comes to sa Web3 space, the more that you are active, the more that you are relevant in the space, the more that you are innovating, the more na nagkakaroon ka ng value, the more na tumataas yung value mo. So I guess medyo may pagkakaiba sa traditional scene, pero it's a good way, di ba? Na parang you are really working hard on it, na you are staying there kasi you find na there's family, there's community, and then you guys are helping out each other. One of the reasons na parang na-notice ko sa mga artists na we find artists na as a competitive, na parang, oh, mas magaling ako sa'yo, or dapat, hindi kita tutulungan kasi dapat nakuha ko tong opportunity. No. In the Web3 space, the more that you help each other, the more na nagkakaroon kayo ng opportunities, which is one of the best things dito sa Web3 space. Okay.
That's very nice. Thank you guys for the tips for our aspiring artists. Now, going to those who want to start collecting digital art NFTs, basically, Sherry, would you have tips for our audience who want to start getting into it? Like, are there like red flags to like check out, or are there some factors you think that they should like look out for?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So when we first released, and we were our first drop, which is the national artist, Jose Hoya with Andre Baldovino, Abdul Mari Imao with Toym Imao, and we were giving out whitelists. There were a few young men who were very NFT savvy who wanted to be whitelisted. No, so I was curious why, because they did not really know Hoya and Imao because they're young, no, because these artists have passed away already. So they said that because we saw a lot of green flags in your project, no, and these are the green flags. So they shared this to me, and I'll share it to all because this is what these people use when they try to filter, no, and how they select. So one, they said that art as a category is strong in the NFT space. Second, the artists are Googleable. So when they Google the name of the artist, even if they didn't personally grow up with them or are not so familiar with the names, they saw that there's already like history or decades of success. And they saw that that these are respected. They're already, people have already bought their works, their paintings. So they said the artists are Googleable. So there and then they can already check the identity. They also said that it's one of ones. So everything that we do is one of ones. So they're not editions, because editions is the same art piece and you multiply it by 30 or 50. But we do one of one. So they said that's one thing that they also like. There's a limited supply. They also said that the team is doxed, so that was also important to them rather than maybe just some name, some alias name. Also, that there's historical significance to the drop. It's the first time that all these artists enter the NFT space, so that's something that they also look at. There's also, so all of these things combined said that there's a lot of green flags, and it helps them to filter a lot of the NFT projects out there because there's so many. There's some Instagram stars, some memes. So this is one way for them to try to help them select better.
Well, that's great. Thank you. How would you guys, so now that we're able to share some tips, no, to aspiring artists, to aspiring art NFT collectors, may I ask you guys how you see the next 5 years, how this space is gonna grow based on where you are? So maybe we can start with Sir Toim.
Okay. Growth is like, it's quite similar also to traditional art. No, the dynamics is basically the same. The medium is only different. No, once the awareness. No, that's the most important thing about it is that once you have a number of artists and some collectors are aware of this artist, no, and this artworks, then it flies. No, that entire project flies. No. But what I see in the next couple of years is more of like more of the empowering of the younger artists, no, entering the scene. I see that with more knowledge, with more community building, no, in the spirit of the salons of long time ago, no, and of guilds, no. It's basically what's happening now, no. It's not we're reinventing the wheel, no, but rather we're going back to the basics in which artists have come together in order to push for a particular art style, a movement, so to speak, no? And these are happening not within any centers, no? Well, what's wonderful about this is that these things are not geographically dependent, no? In central Manila, probably, no? You'd have like several hubs that may, no, actually make it, in different parts of the country or in different parts of the world, no? And that's what's wonderful about it, and it's also scary at the same time, no? So I think what's important is that there is a constant communication between the more traditional art makers, the taste makers, the gatekeepers, no, with the new and emerging modalities in pushing art within the digital environment, no. There is supposed to be a very important communication between them because awareness in both aspects, no, both the new media and the old one, would push Philippine art, no, forward, no, and we have all to and I've always say that this is not it's not a competition, no? Traditional art will not die, no. Actually, sa experience namin, no, yung bumibili ng NFTs, gusto nila magkaroon ng printout ng kanilang NFTs, then papipirma pa rin sa artist or yung mga authors ng NFTs na yun, no? They also want to be tangible. That's bridging, no? Kumbaga, I'm fond of making this, it's, I don't know if you're familiar with IDEO. They're a really good design company. When they were asked to design the cover of the toothpaste, a new toothpaste, no? Yung flip side, na yung finiflip na ganon, yung sila yung ano, no? Pero nung finil test nila, nasisira yung mga takip kasi people will still twist the knobs, hindi nila alam na finiflip pa rin yun. Kung flip man, accidentally, by knee-jerk reaction, inaano nila, tinitwist nila pa rin yun. No? So, ang ginawa nila is a combination of both. No? Both twist, yung mga toothpaste natin until to this very day, at saka nabubuksan, may flip cover. No? So, you do not need to invent something new. You might want to create something that is both na-address yung mga traditional collectors with the prints, no? Yung G-clay prints na ginagawa natin, na signed limited edition din, and with the technology that is NFT. So you find middle grounds at this point. And I can see that there will be negotiations in the next several years from now. But until we can finally settle with a form that is acceptable to our current crop of collectors. No? Nariyan yan, may mga nakakabili. People who have the money to both afford traditional and digital art. No? Pero what's wonderful is that you are creating a bigger mass base ng mga artists, designers, so greater accessibility in putting their art out there.
Thank you, Sir Toim. Thank you to our speakers. I believe our audience would like to drop some questions. The stage is ready for you guys. Yeah, while do we have a question now so far? Oh, okay.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Tim. I'm a digital artist currently. Actually, ako baliktad because I'm currently a digital artist and I want to delve into the traditional art space. So, yeah, I want to try to connect the digital and the traditional art. So, my question is, do you have any suggestions on workshops or resources or even one-on-one tutorials on where to learn traditional art, like painting, oil painting, acrylic?
Well, actually, kanina merong gustong i-ano rin comment si Luis. No? Pero in terms of the visual arts traditional, there are a lot. No? There are a lot. I mean, what particular art form are you on? A sculpture or painting? Oil and acrylic, no? There are a lot of really good, no? On the top of my head, Fernando Sena would be good, no? He has mentored Elmer Borlonga, no? One of the really accomplished visual artists of these times, no? There are some workshops that are done by the UP College of Fine Arts, no? But that's towards the breaks, no? So that's around June or July. CCP also has outreaches in which they conduct workshops. No? You might want to go into the websites of NCCA and CCP for that matter. No? And at the same time, there are right now also like guilds, no? Groups of artists, no? That independent artist groups, no? That are based outside Metro Manila. No? You have Emmanuel Garibay. They have a lot in Tagaytay areas na you might want to check out their own personal pages because they do open up to several workshops that are funded also by NCCA. No? So it would be great to start with group workshops. No? From there, you build on your confidence until you can probably have a very good relationship with several artists, no? Or groups of artists in which you can have one-on-one correspondence and workshops with them.
Okay, I hope you found that helpful. Do we have further questions? While we wait for the next question, actually, maybe the rest of our speakers can share their how they foresee the next 5 years, no, in the arts NFT space. Luis?
Thanks. Yeah, quickly lang. I think it's a strong indicator that we're not quite there yet when we still have to have panels about NFT art. So I would say that hopefully within the next 5 years we'll stop using the word. And firstly, it's such a horrible word. Like NFT is like that doesn't mean anything and it's just confusing to people. I'd really like it if the expectation from any digital art is just na meron siyang certificate of authenticity as created by or as applied through NFTs. Where yun lang, that's all. And you don't have to think about it anymore. Na, like what, like NFT ba to, ilang editions? Like it should just be kind of a given. Yeah, because we don't really need to kind of fixate so much on the technology, or at least that's not a great way for long-term mainstream acceptance. I think for in the here and now, it's good for us to talk about it because we kind of need to, mostly discuss how to properly apply this to the world. But if we're still doing this 5 years from now, that's not a good sign. It probably means it's not catching on. Because it's the same thing for me with cryptocurrency in general. Parang it says so much to me that we continue to have workshops and conferences about cryptocurrencies. We don't have workshops or conferences about the Philippine peso. Diba? Parang it's a strong indicator na parang may pinag-uusapan pa rin tayo. It's still something that we need to debate on. I mean, I don't believe that we should be debating on it forever. It would be great if it just becomes a part of society.
So what I hope in the next 5 years siguro or in the future na in terms of art, mas magkakaroon ng diversification hindi lang sa visual art, it can be music. What's happening in the Crypto Art PH, we are promoting yung mga spoken poetry, mga dance, mga performance arts. So ayun, it shouldn't be just na parang visual art. It could be so much more. So yun na.
For me, one sentence: it pays to be early. If look at Bitcoin. If you were early in Bitcoin, $500 at that time. How much now? $20,000, no? And so Ethereum was a few dollars then. So it does pay to be early, and it's good to take advantage of this space because 5 years from now, there's going to be more people. There's going to be more variety of works, and if you're able to spot something early, that can be very valuable. And remember that NFTs are smart contracts as well. So their use is not just for art. You can use them for legal contracts, for documentations, for gaming, for many things. No? So it'll just explode because there's many other entities that will come in, not just collectors, but also corporates, governments, legal entities, no, that will use smart contracts to be able to democratize, or to be able to transcribe or log things in the blockchain. So there's going to be more players in 5 years from now.
Thank you, guys. I received some questions from our online feed, no? What are some of your favorite or out-of-the-box NFT art use cases? So, Luis, it's okay. So, I have two questions from our online feed. One is that, what are some of your favorite or out-of-the-box NFT art use cases?
Wow, okay. Sige. Let me think about this. Oh my gosh, that was kind of a big brain question. Okay, let me think. Out of the box. Because the thing is, like, honestly, inside the box, there's already so many benefits. Because, you've got this thing that is allowing Filipino artists who are not part of these art centers and can't afford to fly themselves to these, to Tokyo or London or New York. And suddenly they've got work being auctioned off in places like that. I kind of feel like just the inside the box benefits are pretty massive already. I actually, so I'll answer the question reversed. Kasi I have a feeling na ito yung iniisip ng tao na yan eh. He's probably asking about yung mga PFP collectibles na may mga utilities. So, okay, I feel very strongly about this because I am a crypto person from way back. I feel that PFP projects with utilities, they're kind of like shitcoins with images. Parang naghahanap sila ng dahilan to exist. And I'm not sure, some of them, I mean, I'm not going to make a blanket statement. There are some that genuinely want to do something. And I totally respect that. But there's a lot of kind of not, I'm not gonna say scammy, they're just a little bit kind of, I can tell that they're here because they just wanna like raise some money, you know? And we saw this in every stage of crypto's waves of adoption, 2018 and then 2015. There were all of these new crypto projects that were coming out, and they were kind of inventing utilities for themselves. And I couldn't really quite see what they were for. And actually, many of them died out, actually. So I believe that NFT's best use case at this moment in time, and I'm not saying that it's not going to change, it is art for art's sake, where the utility that you get from buying an NFT art is the art itself, the experience that you receive when you look or view or listen to this piece of work. Yun yung utility. That is the thing that makes it valuable to you. It shouldn't be the fact na may airdrop of tokens down the road. Like that shouldn't be the reason, because like I don't think those tokens will amount to much if that's your goal. Ayun, sorry, that was a reverse answer too. Anyway, you know.
No, but I think it was very much on point naman. Okay. And then as a last question, no, for our newbies in the space, the question I think is more for them. There are a lot of debates around NFT art and its carbon emissions. What's your take on this?
That conversation is from 2021. Kasi, it's not, wala na yun eh. Kasi, oo eh. Actually, so a big part of the thing was that Ethereum kasi was a really big consumer of electricity. That is no longer the case as of 2 months ago, no? So I think that if you're still worried about that, well, I mean, you need to look for a different attack vector for NFTs because it's no longer the case now. Eh.
Actually, yan yung madalas yung carbon footprint, no? Well, I mean, all art forms are have a very heavy. The mere fact that you mine pigments for paint, no, yung petrol that you use for the suspension, production of canvases, all, lalo na kung sculpture ka, no, cast bronze and everything, you use diesel. I mean, these are all, it all demands a certain level of a carbon footprint, no, sa natin, sa buong proseso niya. So it's no different from any other art form, no. It consumes, no, and that's because we produce something, no. Any creative process comes from a process of destruction, so to speak, no, in order to build something new. So yeah, I would believe that it's a non-issue anymore.
Thank you, you guys. Okay, so before we wrap this up, let's take a moment to allow each of the speakers to promote something for any of your projects. Luis, Ms. Sherry?
Okay, thank you for the tech team to remind. So I'd like to, for our second drop, we will have the witty and fun works of Larry Alcala. So Larry Alcala is a national artist and a cartoonist, and his works started with, I mean, the most famous works is Slice of Life, where he did every weekend like a caricature of like a typical Filipino Sunday scene in a church, in a market, in an office, in a hospital. And we are going to extract the little characters to create them into profile pictures or PFPs. No? So one will be able to find someone that they know, whether because there's going to be senior citizens there, children, male, female. There's going to be people in different hobbies, liking basketball, eating pizza, couch potato, billiards, etc. So it'll be fun to collect and to trade and to give us gifts, no? And what we will have also, we'll have one thing that we do that's special with Scarlet Box is many times we give a physical item, to be able to enjoy it. And that's what we did with our first drop with Ima and Hoya. We had beautiful collectible boxes that had digital frames. So for Larry Alcala, all minters will get a beautiful premium notebook that's personalized. No? So the cover will have a city scene, and there's going to be like a caricature of the pin post, and we can put your name. So it's going to be personalized, or your child's name, or your boyfriend's name, or girlfriend's name. And then maybe for those that buy a bundle of, we have several bundles, like you can buy one piece, or if you buy three or you can buy 1, 3, and then you get 1 rare. If you buy 5, you get 2 rares, and you'll get a tumbler, beautiful tumbler. So things like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'd like to invite everyone. We'd like to whitelist the attendees or the registrants. So I think it's, oh, there. So the QR code is there. If you want to sign up, we'll include you in the whitelist. We'll probably have our drop sometime between November 10 to 14, thereabouts. We're still deciding. And we'd love for you to join the journey, and enjoy the journey and the barangay of Larry Alcala. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mine naman is, if you found this conversation interesting, in the Philippine Web3 Festival, which is happening on the week of November 14th in BGC, we've got an entire day where we are going to be debating about NFT art and NFT in games and every other form of NFT usage that is out there. I think I'm going to be moderating one of the panels, but we're definitely going to have a lot more artists and projects there. I'm very deeply excited about this because it's not just going to be local brands and local personalities. We're flying in a whole bunch of people who have never actually been to the Philippines, but have heard that we are kind of at the center of Metaverse and Web3. So the creators of Axie Infinity are going to be there. The creators of Polygon are going to be there. The creators of Sandbox are going to be there. Apple the App is going to be singing a few songs. And I think maybe even doing an NFT thing, but I'm not supposed to say other details on that. But yes, so I'm very excited about it. I hope to see you guys there. Our team is actually here if you want to buy tickets old school style with paper money. I am definitely going to judge you for that. But we're still selling tickets right now. November 14 to 18 yung buong week. And at the end of it, we are capping it off with an Axie tournament with over 5 million pesos in cash prizes. So it's going to be a big week for everyone. Thanks, everyone.
That's fun. That's fun. For me, again, I'm Steph. I'm a co-founder of Artifract, and Artifract is actually very similar to Scarlet Box, no? But what we do is that we onboard estates and museum pieces. So paintings that will never go on sale, and then we help these estates immortalize them in the metaverse via the blockchain. So that's what we do. And then we help these institutions, do fundraising as we fractionalize those pieces to allow more Filipinos really to own a piece of Philippine history and Philippine heritage. We're on our beta launch, and to everyone part of the Web3 Summit, our prices are still at a very affordable price. You can check out our website or artifract.io and see which tiles are still available, and every tile comes with a signed Giclée and a sealed COA from the foundation. We'll be also releasing news on our next partnerships. As a matter of fact, the project, I believe, made a good impression on a global scale because we're bringing in the KISS to Asia, no? So I think that's something to be proud of. So Marso, would you like to talk about, promote something?
If any of you guys are a starting artist and want to get started with Web3, Crypto Art PH is there. Our handle is Crypto Art PH. And also, I have a TikTok where I create content on bridging the gap between art and Web3. So it is some simple tutorials on how to do NFT art. So yeah.
Thank you. Sir Toym.
Well, actually, it's more of continuing the collaboration we have with Scarlet Box and the upcoming collaboration with Artifact. No? We're trying to promote that. But at the same time, no, so hopefully the people in the panel right here, baka mamaya you would receive an invitation so that we can probably invite you and share your knowledge about literacy, Web3, NFTs with our students at the College of Fine Arts. No? We would love for you to enlighten them about it, dispel some myths, and at the same time, create the necessary networks for them to access, so that they can be a part of it. We just recently launched a new subject, course in UP College of Fine Arts. We call it professional practice. It's for 1 to 2 years, basically to prepare the artists na the student to be more of like a savvy already by the time they graduate, no? So contract writings, networking with galleries, no? Intellectual property and everything, no? You come equipped, you come out from that course ready, no? To start your career, no? And right now, actually, there's an emerging talk within our college that we have to address, no? These technology-based art platforms, no? So we might try to work out a module, not necessarily a course first, no? In which we can address these questions and these curiosities in our students, lalo na how they can protect themselves and promote themselves within this platform. So hopefully we can invite you over, no? To be a part of it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Web3 Summit. Again, on behalf of the community, I'd like to thank our panelists for being forerunners, no, of the space. And yeah, let's continue growing together. Maraming salamat.
I would like to request everyone to please stay on stage for a quick photo op. Another one with our project head, Miss Bianca. All right, a round of applause for everybody in the panel. I hope you were able to pick up a thing or two in this very engaging discussion. Thank you all for taking the time to join us in this afternoon session painting.